Hello. Yes, I'm here to talk about different paths in the spiritual endeavor. But as you can see, I'm recording in a new place. Yes, this is my new place. I live with intent, in a tent, simple lifestyle. It's kind of hot in the afternoons, but if I light this further, I would not create a video with good light, you know what I'm saying? So here it is, a few things I wanted to share. I've been looking at a few different styles of spirituality. And the first things first to make sense, to make mention, is that spirituality in its deeper phases, in its sincere approach, begins with the tongue. The yogi controls his tongue. It is said, if you look into the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, there are different points of the tongue whereby the meditation upon these different points produces the tricking of the brain chemistry and the creation of altered states of perceptibility of taste. Now, you may listen to the Rolling Stones, you may not, but taste is really where it's at. Particularly when it comes to eating things, like your diet is important because of the fact of spicy foods is considered rajasic, soggy, salty foods considered tamasic, and the middle path will bring you sweets, fresh vegetables, nicely prepared. So the different flavors of spirituality, the different styles, the different approaches, it's important to make mention the fact of differentiation of what is called in the spiritual revealed texts spiritual opulence, diversity, stratification. All the colors of the rainbow are here. There's the path of, goodness, anything from Sufi twirling all the way up to zen-nothing. Osho makes mention, good to start with the Sufism, but ends up with the Zen. But that's not to say that one should stick to the same path. In fact, you cannot stick to the one path. If it was just a one path, it wouldn't be any fun. If you don't go off the path, you don't know you're on the path either. So yes, you are on a path. And it's probably important to note that the first type of revelation comes for the tantric practitioner, whereby the path becomes oneself. One cannot make any kind of spiritual advancement. In other words, one cannot go anywhere unless one goes inside. It's kind of like the outside world is then part of you in a very funny razor blade kind of way. And all the obstacles on the path are pretty much the tools of transformation. The tantric practitioner learns how to recognize the external world as a kind of lover, as a kind of co-creator of the dance, as a kind of intermingling of prakriti and prana. No, prana is the central channel. Prakriti and Ida and Pingala nadis, the balance of opposites. It's a beautiful dance. But the problem I found with the tantric path, and I'm not here to point out problems and pitfalls, maybe this is time for another talk, of which I'll be doing many in the future, is that on the tantric path one kind of has to maintain such a steady focus, and there's little space of wavering. It's like you're really riding the blade's edge, and the Buddhist practitioners say this, that tantric path is a blade dripping in honey. Dripping in honey. Next path is the path of jnani. In Hinduism known as the jnani, in Buddhism probably known as the sutra path, and this is pretty much a difficult path. I tell you this because it's a path of philosophical speculation. It is usually the path that one accidentally stumbles across. In other words, through speculation, one then finds that the limitations of mind are self-evident. It's the textbook approach. It's the intellectual inquiry. It's usually the white man's approach. It's the kind of path that is good for those with very strong mental faculty, who can convince themselves of their own bullshit, and others, more importantly, to the point that you get me? To the point that the speculation becomes self-evident. The jnani and the tantric practitioner. I mean, not necessarily important to make links between the two, but Krishna, as the goal of all yoga paths, makes a very important notice of the differences between the karma yogi, the jnana yogi, and finally we get to the bhakti yogi. So I've mentioned the sutra path, the tantra path, the sutra path, and the mantra path. The mantra path, this is the most beautiful path for me, because it is the most radically self-transforming path I've come across. Mantra as sadhana. Mantra as sadhana. The repetition of the holy names soaked in the bhakti rasamrita, the sweet nectar, the elixir of life. I'm reminded of times spoken by disciples of the Vaishnava, the sustaining capability of man, the follower of Vishnu, preserving of the trinity of creation and the destruction. Srila Prabhupada, his glorious grace, who just is being described as lying down ever so humbly, bead after bead, sucking the nectar of each syllable of the holy names. Now, I want to talk about this. This is very important to talk about. The mantra as sadhana. In sincere effort, when mantra is used as sadhana rather than mantra just used as a time-filling gap exercise, cigarette kind of smoking way, very casual, when it's sincerely taken up as like now I'm going to sit down and chant the rounds, there is such a culminative, transformative effect, and I can explain why, but you'll never understand it from my own words. You've got to do it yourself. The energy of desire, put quite simply, becomes transformed into one's own single-pointed capability. It's a very fascinating transformation. It's what you can do with your obsessions. When your obsessions ain't particularly healthy, they may always be on your mind. But in order to move with them, you don't want to move away from them, I know. You want to kind of use the fuel that is pulling you towards that to fuel all your activities in life. How can we see that everywhere? So think of a fan club. This is a very silly example, and I hate to kind of to rape the idea, to bastardize the idea, but fan clubs are full of people who are obsessed with not a fan, although they sometimes may need cooling out, keep a cool head. Those who dress up as Star Wars action figures and Marvel comics, they all get together and say the lines of these comedians and pretty much dress up like them, and it's kind of like an obsession, but a socially sanctified obsession. And the one who is best dressed, I guess, is the most hypnotized of the cult. Anyways, this is another talk in itself, but the mantra I talk about, the mantra that I recite, is obviously full of the potentialities because of where it is grown from to become a kind of cultish movement, but it ain't. And I'm very, very skeptical against any kind of social cocooning that may occur. But the beauty of this mantra is that what I am chanting is the most attractive thing ever. And if it's not, I invest into it. You see, I've kind of, as Mooji so beautifully said, chant a mantra into the being. You chant a mantra into the being. So that everything I eat, if it's Shiva I'm thinking about, everything is Shiva. Everything rests Everything is Shiva, but everything rests in Krishna. Shiva rests in Krishna, in Ram's brow. So, yeah, we kind of have to honor Shiva before we can get to the gentleness of Ram and Krishna. The beautiful thing about the Maha Mantra, the great mantra, is this one here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Beautiful thing about this mantra, the fact that there's probably 2 points I can make instantly, but infinite unfoldment of potential opulence unfolds from the remembering of these names. Hare is the carrier of the signal, Krishna is the negative polarity, the sweet, cool darkness, and Rama is the brightness, the whiteness, the one who ventures into the darkness, I can say, and coming back to Hare Hare, which kind of encapsulates the great chant. So besides the fact of one-pointedness, the second point I'd like to make is that we're actually begging to be invited into the pastimes of the great spiritual waves, the grand rapids, the movements of Krishna. And it's such a nice sounding word too, like, weekend kind of has a nice connotation to it. It kind of hits you like twice. It's like, oh yeah, the weekend, you think of a calendar, but in the weekend you think of like, wow, weekends are great, you know, I can do anything because I'm not at work, and you know, I think of all the other times, the good times I've had on weekends. So there's a bit of an investment into this word. Although the Buddha comes to my mind, it makes a very strong point about the fact that we should not just focus on the meaning of words, but you know, the word used in its whole contextual existence. So Krishna is literally meaning, translating towards the most attractive thing you can possibly imagine. Rama is the reservoir of the pleasure that comes from the most attractive thing. So there is an important, I wouldn't say difference, because in the contextual understanding, Hare Hare, Rama and Krishna are brothers. You know, you can probably, if it helps, it may help to think of them as black and white, and therefore you have the beautiful singing, dancing cacophony of the polarity of opposites mingling together, two brothers. Hare Hare, and people who are chanting in the society of chanters of mantras, the other mantras, the other bhaktis, begging for a spontaneous Radha, who's also known as Hare, which is the spontaneous affection for Krishna. So, having said all that, I want to come back to the point of mantra being a sadhana. To allow oneself to become hypnotized, to enter a spontaneous trance, to delve deep into the mystery and then come back with kind of brightness. Now this is Krishna, not a peaceful, necessarily peaceful entity. He also has a wrathful aspect, which the Buddhists can probably inform you about if you look into other mantric deities. That's probably on the more tantric side of things though. But the thing is, this mantra can probably be used as a tantric practice also. I just thought of that now. So you can think of Krishna, you know, as the most beautiful person with a peacock feather and a nice bluish black skin, and think of his feet, you know, like red feet, and sitting in a lotus. It doesn't get much more beautiful than that. That's my Eastern imagination, my Eastern attraction. Rama, I don't know why, but he carries a pick and a bullhorn. Just one. It's just one. So it really is a mantra loaded with potential impact, and he's full of teachings also. So this is the second point I wanted to make. Actually, he's full of dogmatic, not necessarily dogmatic, but revealed scripture, dharma. That's it. Yelling out for the dharma to be manifest, to be having a seed born within one of dharma. When you think of Krishna, you can also think of like the stack of literature emerging out of Vedic scholars for the past 5,000 years. So, they're not just chanting the name of someone, superhero out of a fan club. This is more like a deep inner calling. Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition upon the mind. Hear the name, it brings forth an image. Also, the same could be done with the practice of Mandrashri mantra, who's also a very beautiful Buddha, but his mantra, Om Marapa Sanadi, Om Marapa Sanadi, Om Marapa Sanadi. Very beautifully, Prince, with eloquent speech riding on a lion. His name is not heard during that practice, so it's a bit difficult. You kind of have to go that extra step to remember him. But all these practices really they require deeper and deeper renunciation to consider how could I possibly turn my whole... You really got to turn the bull of your life, the creative force, the endeavors that you partake in, and invest into the mantra, invest into the object of supreme beauty. An object who is actually beyond beauty. Beyond beauty. Beauty is just one of the paths. If you're familiar with the Kabbalah, so is wisdom and so is truth. So mantra as sadhana, it's really a great practice. You can see underneath your attractions to the external world that there is one attractive point, and if you can nail that, you can then learn how to serve that instead of wanting to possess it. Big helicopter flying over the top of my head. I'm going to log off. Hopefully you can still hear me. And this video has been going for just about 17 minutes. So to wrap up, Sutra, Tantra, Sutra, Mantra, they can all be used at once. The biggest point I wanted to make is that we cannot get stuck in our methods. So do some hatha yoga, do some bhakti yoga, read, write, study, perform, and then drop spirituality for a couple of days or two just to forget about the whole thing and to remind yourself why it is that you're on this path, to come closer towards what you're attracted to, which is deeply within yourself, residing already. When you can find that, you can find it in anybody and any situation, but of course discipline is called for, and the discipline is also calling for a relaxation of the discipline. Balance in all endeavors, but balance itself. So let's enter and exit quite lightly. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna is beyond economic advancement, beyond religiosity, beyond sensual intoxication, and even beyond... Oh, there's one more. Karma, akarma. Oh, and beyond reward, beyond karma, but there's a talk for another day. I got my point across.